Hello. Hello, class. I'm Avery Miller, and I'm going to teach you about intellectual assessment, namely the Stanford Binet intellectual scale. Let's go to the next slide. All right. Intellectual cognitive assessments. Intellectual cognitive assessments are standardized tools used to evaluate cognitive functions such as memory, verbal comprehension, attention, problem solving, and these methods are historically measurements that are emphasized overall in IQ, affecting early uses in military and academic selection settings. Um, Contemporary approaches, however, have shifted towards a more nuanced understanding of intelligence that goes beyond a single score. Um, Naglieri and Otero argued that intelligence should be assessed through neurocognitive processes that focus not only on what individuals know, but also how they think, plan, and process information. All right. Now, the assessment we're going to go over today is the Stanford Binet Intelligence Scale. In 1912, psychologist William Stern introduced the concept of the intelligence quotient, which provided a numerical representation of intelligence by comparing mental age to chronological age. Um, the test was refined by Lewis Thurman, and that's who our author is. The test was in 1916 at Stanford University, hence the Stanford Binet in the Stanford Binet test, which expanded its scope and age range. It assesses various cognitive abilities throughout both the verbal and nonverbal tasks, including reasoning and memory. The publisher is Riverside Insights, and the current full Stanford Binet Kit 5 is priced at $1,350 through $1,450. Next slide. All right, now the purpose of the Stanford Binet test is an examination meant to gauge intelligence through five factors of cognitive ability. These five factors include fluid reasoning, knowledge, quantitative reasoning, visual spatial processing, and working memory. Both verbal and nonverbal responses are measured. Each of the five factors is given a weight and combined score and is often reduced to a ratio known commonly as the intelligence quotient or IQ. Now, in 1916, as we've talked about before, Lewis Terman revised Stanford test at Stanford University, creating what is known as Stanford Binet test today. That standardization involved a large and diverse sample of individuals, including children and adults of various backgrounds. The sample included over 3,000 individuals from different socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds to ensure a representative distribution. A Stanford Binet test must be administered by a trained professional, typically a psychologist or an educational specialist. The test processing includes routine testing to determine starting points, administration of verbal and nonverbal subtests, adaptive testing based on performance, and testing time is 45 to 90 minutes. Immediate scoring and interpretation is recommended right after the completion of the test. Now, the Stanford Binet psychometric properties. The studies have shown that SB5, the current version of test, has a strong test-retest reliability with a coefficient ranging from 0.84 to 0.95 for different age groups. This means that when individuals take the test multiple times, their scores remain relatively consistent, which is crucial for any psychological assessment tool. Now, the validity research constantly shows that the Stanford Binet test scores relate well to academic achievement, occupational success, and other real world outcomes. This predictive validity makes it a valuable tool for educational planning and career guidance. Right. Now, the Stanford Binet Intelligence Scale scoring. Um, on our right, we see the scores along with the classification corresponding with the percentiles that are given um, in the normal standard deviation curve. It is important to understand that IQ scores are not fixed. They can vary based on testing conditions, environment, physical and emotional state during the testing, familiarity with testing formats, cultural and linguistic factors, educational opportunities, and experiences. The full IQ, the full scale IQ is the most general score representing the overall intellectual ability. It combines performance across all five cognitive factors. The average FSIQ is 100 and a standard deviation of 15. Each of the five cognitive factors receives its own index score, but also with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 15. These scores help identify cognitive strengths and weaknesses. The test provides separate IQ scores for verbal and nonverbal domains, useful for identifying and learning differences or language-based challenges. Okay. These are some sample items of the Stanford Binet test. On our left, we see a figure. We're supposed to look at the top two boxes to see how they go together in a certain way, and we're supposed to answer accordingly. Um, the same type of question is in our right, where we see um, these similar type pictures. We're supposed to answer accordingly to what our visual stimuli tells us. All right, now this test evaluates five key cognitive factors, like we talked about before earlier: fluid reasoning, knowledge, quantitative reasoning, visual spatial processing, and working memory. This comprehensive approach provides a nuanced understanding of an individual's cognitive profile rather than just a single IQ score. Provides a holistic approach that is more descriptive than a single score can give you as part of the strengths of the Stanford Binet test. Recent editions have made significant strides in reducing cultural biases through careful item selection, diverse normative examples, and inclusion of nonverbal subtests that minimize language and cultural knowledge requirements. Now, there are some limitations, like as Binet did not believe that his psychometric instruments could be used to measure a single permanent inborn level of intelligence. Instead, he suggested that the intelligence is far too broad of a concept to quantify with one number. He also believed that IQ changes over time and can only be compared in children with similar backgrounds, meaning that you growing up together in a certain community, those scores should be normative across those individuals who are from that community. Comparing other communities and other socioeconomic backgrounds do not necessarily encompass the objectives of the test and should be taken with a grain of salt. Right. Um, Ethical and legal considerations. Um, Professional training. Administrators should be trained professionals with a thorough understanding of the test and its administration to ensure accurate results. Assessment should be culturally sensitive and consider the diverse backgrounds and experiences of the individuals being evaluated to avoid potential biases. Feedback and support, as we spoke about earlier, after the assessment, individuals should receive feedback in a supportive, constructive manner, emphasizing the potential for growth and development. And last but not least, remember that the intelligence is a complex, multifaceted. Intelligence is complex and multifaceted. Stanford Binet test measures important cognitive abilities, but it doesn't capture everything about a person's potential, creativity, emotional intelligence, or practical skills. Always consider the test's results as one piece of information among many when making important decisions about education and career paths. And with that, I thank you and I appreciate you for listening to my presentation.